You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
It all sounds like some bad movie.
You know what it was when it came out? I really wanted to get around to seeing it, and I just didn't have time. And then it finally came out on DVD and Blu-ray, and I have the Blu-ray, and it's just been sitting on my shelf. And I just said, you know what? You need to challenge this film to me, or I'm not going to get around to watching it.
Right.
So, and that's exactly what you did. And I think you had said something kind of similar about G.I. Joe. So I said, why don't I challenge you to G.I. Joe? And that's how we came up with these movie challenges. So, Transformers 2.
Right. I saw it in the drive-in when it came out that year.
I saw it in my basement.
Now, I've mentioned Transformers 2 recently because
You
of the
did.
whole Avatar nonsense.
Yes.
Because Michael Bay gets a lot of crap.
He does get a lot of crap.
And I still strongly, I am firm on this.
I think he knows
If you
how to
badmouth-
structure a film personally.
If you badmouthed Transformers 2
Yes.
as being a bad film, but you
Praised Avatar.
if you praised or even defended Avatar,
You'd have no idea what you're talking about.
Then your comments are not valid. You're not allowed to have it.
I remember you explaining that in one of our...
disqualified. Disqualified.
Yeah, I remember you explaining about it in one of our podcasts, and it makes perfect sense.
Right.
It really does. It just... I didn't hate this film. I didn't... let's put it this way. I didn't go into it expecting to hate it. I expected hating the first film, and when I didn't hate it, I was like, wow, I was pleasantly surprised. And, the first film and even the second film also eats a lot of shit. It's just giant robots beating the hell out of each other and explosions.
But
that's what I want to see.
That's like the people that would complain like Columbo. It's like, but it's like it's just like the murder of the week. Says, well, yeah, that's what people are tuning in for, jackass.
Yeah, right. So,
soap opera's been running how long now?
Yeah.
I'm sure the plots haven't changed
well,
that
I'll
much.
tell you what I didn't like about Transformers 2.
Well, there's stuff not to like. I'm not.
Yeah,
and also with such a positive. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
But the thing I find like with Transformers being so surprisingly fun and good.
Yes.
And like a well-crafted film as far as like the pacing is good, and it's not genius, but there's a lot of good action in there. There's some nice comedy. The parents aren't exactly they were a good part of the film. There's some fun moments there. It's a fun movie.
One of the things that I didn't like was I thought the mother was a little over the top sometimes.
In the but
in the second one, I think she was a little worse.
But it's a comedy. They're comic.
No. I got that.
Oh, in the second one, she is. But what I'm getting at is the first film was so much of a surprise as being good.
Right.
You knew the second one wasn't going to live up to it. You knew they would repeat themselves.
Yes.
You knew there'd be some like, okay, it worked in the first film, let's do it in the second film.
Right.
Like the parents. Oh, let's have them come on campus and.
Yeah. The other thing that I personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Megan Fox. Yes, I think she's attractive, but I just don't like her as an actress at all.
I still have a problem with Megan Fox in the first film. The whole idea that I find it offensive, ironically, that there's a film where the guy's this geeky kind of guy. I mean, Shia LaBeouf's not. They even put him up against like a jock type character. He's not a jock type character.
Right.
He's a smaller frame. He's he's thin. He's kind of playing a pseudo geek kind of thing.
Yes.
He's not nerdy, but he's kind of he's not
No,
he's not a popular frat guy. So of course the girl he gets is like makes Victoria's Secret models look like slobs, right? She's like, just the glistening sun taut belly, like she's like drawn, like she's airbrushed into the movie.
Speaking of airbrush, that shot of her on the motorcycle, wearing pretty much Daisy Duke shorts, airbrushing something on, it's just where you could see up the shorts, like that shot.
Yeah.
It's like, really? She's really going to be doing that?
But I just find it offensive.
Not that it's a big deal, but I just find it annoying that they go to great lengths to show, look how hot she is, you know?
Right.
Like, oh, when the other, robotic, the fake Robo Girl, that's really a Decepticon, tries to get information out of him, and she's seducing him. And it's like, what is he doing? Megan Fox is so hot. Is he crazy? It's like, give me a break.
And I have this problem. It's very detrimental to the self image of your young female audiences to go to these films where the guys. It's okay that the guy's kind of geeky and not built, not your typical Adonis, but the girl has to be hot. And she has to be dropped down dead gorgeous hot. She has to be amazingly, mind-bogglingly, like a guy would cut off a leg to screw her, kind of hot.
Yeah.
And it's okay, but she can't be anything short of perfect. But the guy's okay.
Yeah.
And this really lends to like and I hate to get serious on you, but this really lends to the negative self-image that a lot of teenage girls have these days, and it leads to a lot of eating disorders, and it leads to a lot of emotional disorders, and it leads to to death, and it leads to like long-term psychological and physical problems. Yeah, you have girls,
they're living up to something they can't live up to.
Right, and I find it shocking in a film. It seems like the double standard. It still permeates even in a film that's supposed to be just as fun for the whole family.
No, yeah,
and a date movie as well.
I agree.
If you're gonna put a PG-13 in there, so that's my problem with Megan Fox. Besides the fact that she's an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean that whole thing.
Yeah, there was that whole thing about it. The whole crew of Transformers.
Do a Google search for
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox letter.
Or even Megan Fox Huffington Post, because that's where it originally was.
I think this Megan Fox letter might give you a tip. But basically, these guys on the crew wrote an open letter to her calling her a complete
idiot,
skank, idiot, moron.
Doesn't appreciate anything that the crew does for her, and
bad-mouthing Michael Bay and
I think it was more they had to go to a museum to do something for the day, and she was insulted that she had to do something like that. It's just stupid. Come on, you're making millions of dollars because someone thinks you can act, which you can't.
Now, on the other hand, one of the good things about Transformers 2 is that Shia LaBeouf was, is that LaBeouf? Is that right?
I think it's LaBeouf.
It's a little lame.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I would change my name going into Hollywood. That's just me. LaBeouf. I'm not knocking the name, but I would make that conscious effort.
You would think that a name like that wouldn't be famous, and we've talked about it before. He is one of the hottest actors working today.
Which is why I like the fact that he was injured repeatedly throughout the filming of Transformers 2.
Yeah.
His eye, his arm, he almost went blind in one eye. He got hit by something. He had an auto accident where he hurt his arm. I like the idea. I just like to know that he was in as much pain. He was probably in more pain during the filming of the film than I was watching it.
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to give a rundown? Speaking of the film, do you want to give a rundown of the plot of it, or is that even worth it?
The basic plot of the film is that it leaves off kind of like where the first one does, because there's a shard of the cube
Allspark.
or the Allspark.
The Allspark, get your terminology right.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you Transformers fans are fucking insane. I'm sorry. I was going through just like a portion of the trivia on IMDb and 90% of it is, this character was this in this thing, but in the original cartoons, he didn't become this, he became that, and his voice was different in here. When the first one came out, and there was a whole
thing about why their mouths moved.
There's no Optimus Prime's mouth doesn't move, and people were upset.
Yeah,
you were insane. I grew up with I had some of the toys. I grew up with the cartoons.
Yeah, sure, same here.
I can't even name half of them.
I mean,
here we go.
I got them on my back wall. Where are they?
The cartoons, the originals,
right here. There you go. Right there. Big fan. Now, I don't care. Give me a break. Come on.
Anyway, I had to get that out. But you people are insane.
Well, yeah.
But it's a sequel. The Allspark comes back.
Basically, he picks it up. He touches it,
and
all that data just ends up in his head.
Because it's like Avatar. There's no translation of Unix code or whatever you want to say.
Whatever you want to call it.
It's Max versus PC.
Well, essentially, the basic plot of the film is he touches a shard or splinter of the Allspark, and basically it holds information of where there's a new energy source old energy source. It's the original.
Right.
Basically, the Fallen, which is like this original, he's before Megatron.
Right. He was actually a character in the comic book. I did some of my research.
Right. Okay. So he's like one of the first.
Yeah.
And he was around, like the film opens up in 17,000 BC and it shows him. Okay. So basically he is just rotting away somewhere waiting for the last prime to be killed so he can make his triumphant return.
Right.
So what happens is Sam touches the shard and it puts all the information in his head. LeBeouf. And basically, it's a race to get to the new energy source before the Decepticons, before the Fallen can return,
right.
And
now,
just destroy Earth and
believe it or
take
not,
over.
that simple of a plot is 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's just
4 acts. There's like a 4th act tag on the end.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of these films, like Dark Knight. Is, I think really made it really popular. It's just that there's a 3rd act and there's a 4th act. It's like, here's the climax, but wait, that's not enough. We need another climax. So let's add a climax onto the climax,
right?
And then everybody's just crying in the theater. It's like, I thought this was over. I thought this was the end. I saw a theatrical.
Although, don't get me wrong, Scott may be saying that about The Dark Knight, but we're huge fans of The Dark Knight.
Yeah, but I didn't need that 4th act.
But you know what? I liked the film so much, I don't care.
But it didn't need it, is what I'm saying.
It didn't need it.
And ever since then, a lot of these films are taking this whole thing, let's just add another.
It really didn't need it. But
it's like after Braveheart, they started doing the 2-hour or 3-hour epic films again.
Yeah.
And because it made a lot of money, and it was like, we can get away with making 3-hour films and make money. And with Dark Knight, I think it was like a kind of a tip of the, it was like a red flag to the directors. You can get away with an extra 15 minutes of action. You can add a 4th act and spend more money and get a bigger budget. Yeah. And so you'll have more to show in the commercials, and then you'll have like a half an hour to do the scenes.
But not to to talk about Dark Knight again, but I think when you get a director like Nolan who knows exactly what he's doing,
anything can be done.
In my opinion,
yeah.
I just loved it so much. Don't care about the 4th act.
But
in films like Transformers 2, yeah. Not that I don't care. I enjoyed Transformers 2, but don't really mind it in Dark Knight. Did a little bit in Transformers 2, but it's when you get into films, like G.I. Joe, which we'll talk about.
Don't jump the gun. But Transformers 2
it's about a half an hour too long.
It does have a 4th act. It does have this here's this big climax, but all of a sudden there's another climax we've been working up to.
Yeah.
And it's weary. It's wearisome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's really all you can wrap up in the plot. There's not much to go on.
No, there's very simple plot,
and then everything else is giant robots. And I tell you, it's the rest of it's giant robots fighting, and
it delivers.
It's great. If you went to see giant robots fighting and you don't mind leaving to get some popcorn every 15 minutes whenever there's like a romantic scene
or talking.
Every time you cut to a scene with low music,
right.
and what's her name in LaBeouf's arms?
Oh, Mega Fox.
Yeah. It's like I wish I had a fast forward button.
Here we
go.
Unfortunately, I did. I didn't, but I could have if I wanted to.
Now, you didn't have any notes. Do you have any big beefs about the film? What's the thing you hated the most? And I know, spoiler alert, because we may talk about the ending.
The thing I hated the most.
Put it this way. I'm going to talk about the ending. Spoiler alert.
Well, you know what? The easy thing...
Oh, wait, but we have to go back.
What?
I don't know if it's actually in the comics or not, but the cyborg transformer thing, the chick, the college girl.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mentioned her earlier.
Right.
You know what? I don't...
What the hell? We have to go in the Terminatrix territory here?
Yeah. It just... I don't know.
Michael, you got a hit franchise on your hand. You don't need to rip off Terminator 3.
Right.
The film that even the TV series pretends didn't happen.
Yeah.
You're bad when broadcast television says no.
The thing that bugged me the most...
Drink cam.
I knew you were going there with that. I knew why you clipped it there.
I know where else.
Here we go. We get to watch it on the delay.
In the future, whenever we record podcasts, check out Moviesucktastic on Facebook often, because we're actually streaming live when we record now.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get more interaction with our audience. So all three of you. I'm kidding.
Actually, we're just about to cross over the 200 mark, I think.
Yeah, no, we're doing very good.
We're doing well.
Anyway, what's with the Terminatrix nonsense?
That, you know what? That might be the thing that annoyed me the most.
Not me.
Not you. Maybe the robot heaven, but...
You want to jump right to the big finish? You want to jump right to robot heaven?
We could do that. Why not? You wanna?
I remember sitting in
This is also Chris's, screw you, shut up moment.
to me.
Yeah.
About what?
That robot heaven, like
Yeah.
the robot ghosts,
Yeah.
so to say. He said that was in the cartoon in more than one occasion. So tell Scott to shut up.
No, he can shut up. Because just because it was in the cartoon doesn't mean you put it in a $200 million film where people over the age of 10 are watching the goddamn thing. I don't. Again,
Because he remembers that you were complaining about it. He goes, tell Scott that it was in the cartoon and a lot too.
You know what? Commercials were in the goddamn cartoon. I don't know commercials in the film, and I'm happy. There were a lot of things that were in the cartoon they didn't put in this because the one character that was like a panther in the movie, his other form is a cassette tape. And they didn't do it in the film. You know why? Because they thought it was kind of outdated and maybe a little silly. So they didn't do that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I would give the same reasoning to Ghost Heaven. To Robot Heaven. Robot Heaven, a little outdated, a little silly.
Yeah.
And you know what?
I'm
fine with... You know what? I'm not even complaining about Robot Heaven. Robots can have their heaven. There's that classic line from Red Dwarf. It's like, well, aren't you a theist? Aren't you a pantheist? Don't you believe there's, God is in everything? So yeah, but I'm not a frying pan theist. I don't think that inanimate objects have souls too.
Right.
But I'm okay with that. My problem is he goes to robot heaven. That's the problem.
Why? Because he had.
It didn't even sink in at first. 'Cause I'm watching, like, robot heaven, eh? Huh? In the theater. I remember I was like, yeah. And by this point, I'd kind of given up too. I was I can't even tell you what any of the dialogue was from that scene. All I remember is like, oh, he's in heaven now. Because honestly, it's after the parents did the whole. After they reenacted that scene from War of the Worlds remake,
oh,
it was like, yeah, I have to go in there. You have to let him go. Let him go. I saw this before with Tom Cruise. After that, I was like, I'm done. This fourth act is kicking my ass. I can't. I don't have the wherewidall to stick through.
And you were in a drive-in. You were in the comfort of your own vehicle.
Yeah, I was.
I mean, think about if you were stuck in a theater.
Oh, I'd be
in a packed theater.
See, and this is why I'm glad he injured his eye in his hands during the filming of this. But it didn't even hit me. I was like, oh, robot heaven, okay. And then the next, like thinking about the film the next week or two, and it's like, what the fuck is he doing in robot heaven? How does he get to robot heaven?
I guess, touching the Allspark and all that.
No.
Would that mean his great-great-great-grandfather, whatever, Wiki ended up in robot heaven at some point?
But if you can translate the Allspark like that, then how come, people weren't becoming Transformers?
Yeah.
How come they couldn't, zap John Turturro and all of a sudden his bones fold out of his body?
And his last words are, Big Lebowski.
Yeah. We don't fuck with the Jesus one.
No fuck with the Jesus.
But, it's just, that was the last straw for me. And it wasn't even originally. I walked away from the film going, it was fun. There were robots there. But again, even too much robot killing. And they have the two little, the Volt cars for comic relief.
There was a lot of flack for them because they were ethnic,
You're lucky you got ethnic in the film. Shut up.
They thought that they were racist for having them, talk and act the way they did.
Go see Death at a Funeral, the remake.
Okay.
All right.
That's all you got to say.
I'm not being racist at all on this. I understand that the criticism, but they're in the film. I mean, we're not like we were in the past where there were no ethnic people, there were no blacks in the filmmaking process anymore. They are in the process now. If something is going to get beyond into the stage of being made into a film, there are ethnicities and minorities throughout the filmmaking process that someone somewhere along the way can pinch a fit.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of and when you have Tyler Perry and these other urban filmmakers coming out with their own films that perpetuate a lot of these stereotypes that are in these films, I don't want to hear shit because the two little robot cars are talking jive.
Yeah,
I don't. No.
I've
never heard.
I agree with you.
I have never heard one complaint from any minority group about the two jive talking guys in the airplane.
It's always...
I've never heard one person complain about that. You know why? Because they liked it, because it was funny.
Right, and it's always these white, groups that have what I like to think they have is called white guilt, where, it's...
As we should.
Well, I'm not saying that.
As we
I'm
should.
just saying they kind of take it to another level where they go over the top with it, where every single commercial, I don't know if you've noticed this, but every commercial that might have, like the new Mohegan Sun commercial,
Yeah.
okay, it's two people and they take their black friends to go to Mohegan Sun. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have black friends, but what I'm saying is they go out of their way to make their friends,
Right.
not white.
And I understand, but
because it would be
coming from
considered racist not to do it,
That's
and I think that's wrong.
That's not why. It's because when you look at advertising demographics,
Yeah.
you have more and more of these advertising companies that do their research, realizing that there is that the minority groups that are out there watching television, your audience is not white. It is a mix, and you have to gear towards that. Like McDonald's has more and more minorities in their commercials. Now here's the reverse end of it. Remember Couples Retreat?
Go ahead.
Let me finish. Remember Couples Retreat?
Yeah.
Do you remember the big stink about that?
Yeah, the poster had the black couple taken out.
In the European poster, they took the black couple out of it.
Yeah, they were gone.
Right. This is why I understand whenever there's any complaints, because shit like that still happens. But on the other hand,
I'm talking about here.
But
they were on the poster here.
But again, just because we have a black president doesn't mean there's not still racism.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is, I just think that
it's like when the Italian groups come out and complain about Sopranos because it feeds into the Italians as mobsters stereotype.
Yeah,
it's bullshit. In fact, all these Italians are playing in the show.
Right.
It's like none of them seem to mind. They're enjoying playing the roles.
Right.
And a large group of Italian Americans are watching the show, obviously, because it's so popular.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with they think the show like that produces a bad light on New Jersey, but it doesn't stop them from making fucking retarded shows like the Jersey Shore and Jerseylicious, which was just on the other day, which is not only an insult to anyone alive and breathing, but anyone who lives in our fine state of New Jersey. It is just such shit.
All right, but
yes, there is a small percentage of people who live in New Jersey that do act and talk like that, but it does in New York, Staten Island.
And this is why Transformers 2 is a bad film, because it's destroying
I'm tired of it
because it's bad for New Jersey.
It's portion of Transformers 2 was in New Jersey. I think it was a
portion of it was in Mexico too. What do you want?
Well, no, I mean just they kept flashing the scenes where it says New Jersey.
Pennsylvania.
Like the base.
They filmed the opening explosions were up at the steel mill in Bethlehem.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But I mean, it's funny, like little controversy like this. Oh yeah, they had ethnic voices and they were doing like the jive talk thing. So you know what?
I didn't have a problem with it.
I mean, there's some really great.
I thought there
were some great black strong characters in that film. The military guys.
Sure.
There's a couple of black strong guys in that. I mean, and there's a lot of different.
That's Mickey Pfeiffer, I think, is who was also in Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Who shot his zombie wife
in the film.
Not
in real. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't shoot his zombie wife in real life. It was in the film, but.
As she delivered a zombie baby.
Yeah, which is cool. But
and only Zack Snyder could pull that off. But anyway,
it just seemed like you got to pick. What I'm saying is you got to pick your fights. And when
I think so.
When you complain that Sopranos is bad for Italians, it's like no. The organized crime families that existed, they're bad for Italians.
Yes. Exists.
These two robots speaking jive aren't negatively portraying.
Right.
Because the other character's black too. Of course, he died in the first film. Yeah, the black robot died in the first film. So I think that kind of. So you know what? Maybe they have a point. I take it back. Maybe they should complain. That is kind of messed up. And he was a Cadillac. I take it back. The both movies are racist. I stopped. I don't know why I was defending him. I'm sorry. I was totally off base on that one. But other than that, I can't think of too much I didn't like about the film. I mean, the parents. I love the parents, but they went too far. And actually, Princeton and the two colleges they filmed at was Princeton and
Rutgers. Was it? They were both Jersey.
No, one was Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
Philadelphia, and Princeton. Both of them refused to have their names mentioned in the film because they felt the whole pot brownie thing would reflect poorly upon the colleges.
Oh, give me a break.
But it was kind of cliche and stupid too. I'll give you that. And like having the mother, it's like it's taking a joke the next step.
Okay.
I mean, because the first one, I loved the whole happy time masturbation line.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just priceless. That's why when you say she was over the top,
yeah.
But that's fine.
Yeah,
because even they leveled it out. You had scenes where the father was over the top.
Yeah,
So for comic relief, they weren't bad. They weren't stereotypical.
Okay. So all right, so that's all right. I guess is that it? Are we done with Transformers 2?
Yeah, Transformers 2 is racist, and Robot Heaven was stupid. Even if it was in the cartoon, Chris, it's stupid.
All right, so let's take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about G.I. Joe.
We're going to take a robot break.
Robot break.
No, I just want to point out, too, that in the first Transformers, they did use the line, more than meets the eye.
They did.
And they used it...
Right, when the stars are, for Paramount, are coming to the screen, and then they circle around
Well, I mean, when the first helicopter transforms, they had, like, the old original noise in there.
Yeah, and it was cool.
It was cool. It's like, oh, yeah.
Right.
So I just wanted to point that out, that they did kind of stick to the cartoon in that regard.
Okay.
And because
it's a good point, because we're going to talk about G.I. Joe.
And we're talking about two
and what
films.
they stuck to, like,
because we are talking
cartoons.
about two adaptations
of, the 80s
in the 21st
cartoons.
century, based on 1980s cartoons for children.
Yes.
And these are both huge budget mainstream films.
Yes.
Some more successful than others.
Yes.
So I just wanted to get that fact out there before we transfer it over.
All right. So let's take a quick break, and we're
because knowing is half the battle.
Yeah. All right. We'll be right back.